At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, JoAnn Crone. Hello, my lovely Lolas. How are you today? Okay, we're digging in to a very touchy topic. If you at all experience a lot of pain when you feel rejection, this one should resonate with you. Because I want to take you back to a moment where somebody said that you were disrespecting them, or that you made them feel inferior or small or less than, and your stomach just dropped. Maybe you started replaying the last 5 conversations you had with them in your head and trying to find the moment you did it. Or if it's even a moment that you're not even aware of, if you have that, like if you're afraid that you're presenting something to the world that you don't intend to, this hits so hard. And if that is you, we're all going to breathe together, including me, because today I'm giving you something to hold on to in that exact moment that is going to help relieve your guilt and also help you move forward. It is 3 actionable steps that you can take. I am so excited to dive into these with you because they have really helped me in my life. With that, let's get on with the show. There have been times in my life where I have been accused of making people feel inferior, or being called the upstairs boss, or being accused of disrespecting someone. And every time that hits, I just feel this wash of shame come over me. I feel that maybe I did something that I didn't intend to do, and now I'm a horrible person because I did that. Because I do not want to disrespect anybody. The time this really hit me hard was with my sister. She accused me of that I make her feel inferior, as to which I had the very sibling response of saying, no one could make you feel anything. And that's true. And that's something that we're going to get into today. However, in that situation, she is 7 years younger than I am. There's a bit of a power dynamic between us, and she was ultimately kind of right about it. She was right about the way that I was treating her. I was treating her not as an adult, not as a mother, but as my little sister who still needed advice, unwarranted and unsolicited advice, I might add, about what to do and how to run her life. Like, that's how I was treating her. And in situations like those, it could be really hard to be easy on yourself. So I want to give you, and I want to take you down through all the stories and all of the things that maybe are going on right now in your life where you have been told that you make somebody feel inferior and you maybe didn't mean it. Or maybe you did mean it and you decide that you don't want to act that way anymore. It's going to be 3 steps we're focusing on today. This first step right now is to evaluate your own intentions. In the argument that I had with my sister, I was super, super mad at her for many things during that argument. I write about it more in my book, The Best Mom is a Happy Mom, if you want to check that out. And you'll get all the juicy little details of that situation. But I had to reflect quite a while on her telling me that I make her feel inferior because she didn't talk to me for 3 months after that fight. And I examined, okay, what did I do to contribute to this situation? I think this is always a very, very important thing to do whenever somebody accuses you of anything. And that's hard, especially if you are an ADHD girly like I am and you have some rejection sensitive dysphoria. If you're not familiar with that term, it means that whenever you get rejected, or if you even perceive that someone is rejecting you, you feel this horrible, almost pain. Like you feel it in your body. It's this anguish. It's this shame. If you don't know what's going on, it will cause you to react impulsively towards other people. If you do know what's going on, it gives you the chance to recover and regroup and take some time to yourself. I definitely have rejection sensitive dysphoria. It is something that I experience quite a bit, and I have to talk myself through, and I usually talk with my good friends about it. Like anything that triggers it, I talk with my husband about it. Anything that triggers it, man, my husband gets a lot of all my rejection phobias and everyone who I think hates me. So, and I say that not for sympathy about everyone who I think hates me. I say that hoping that maybe you can identify a little bit of yourself in that. If you too feel like everybody hates you at times, you might be on the same rejection sensitive dysphoria track that I am. So, being aware of that, it's good to examine your intentions whenever you are accused of something. In this spot with my sister, when I examined those intentions, I realized, yeah, I was making her feel inferior. Totally. I could see, rather, I want to back that up a little bit because what I said is true. You can't make anyone feel anything. They fill in those gaps. However, I was contributing to that situation that led to her feelings. Absolutely. And there was something that I did check about my own behavior and how I spoke to her. I spoke to her more as a peer after that situation rather than somebody who was like, didn't know what she was doing in her life, was messing up everything. And like, I didn't rationally think that, but that is how I was behaving towards her because I was just following old patterns, which can happen. So when you evaluate your intentions after you're accused, this can help you grow as a person, and it can also help your relationship. I want to give a shout out to Rebecca in Inner Circle because I was talking about this topic on Joe with Joe this morning that I'm recording this, and she brought it up. She brought it up how her husband accuses her of being condescending. And she's like, yeah, sometimes I am condescending. And it's a great thing to recognize because if you feel so much shame about the way you acted that you can't move forward and you can't evaluate it and you can't change it, you're going to be stuck experiencing the same situations over and over and over again. And that's not a place that any one of us wants to be. Now, say that you examine your intentions and they're pure. They're totally pure. I've had instances of this in my life too. I was accused by my daughter of not respecting theater rules and traditions. I mistakenly suggested that we leave before curtain call of a show so that we could make it to stage door and meet the actors. She got very, very upset with me. She told me that I didn't respect her and the work that she put into learning about theater. I didn't respect her viewpoint on this, and I didn't have the right mindset. And I took it all in. I was like, okay, because when you're accused, you'll immediately want to fight back. And I want to urge you not to do that because you need this time to be able to examine your role in it. And sometimes you can't see anything in your role. In the spot with my daughter, I looked through that conversation and I thought, I am being very respectful. I am being careful with what I say. I only suggested leaving before curtain call because she wanted to go to stage door. I was trying to support her in it. My intentions were pure. And that's good to know going in to the next step. Sometimes it could be a little confusing what your intentions are. Maybe you're angry about something else between you and the person who is accusing you, and you're not exactly able to say your intentions are perfectly pure, but you're also not agreeing with their interpretation of the situation either. Those can be very, very difficult to navigate. And this is why I suggest in this step 1 to give yourself a pause, give yourself some time, and figure out where you land before you have a conversation with whoever it is that accused you of it. Because It's not deciding really about you being innocent. This isn't it. This isn't saying that, oh, I looked at my intentions and I'm good. It's the other person. It's all their fault. No, this is not the point of this step. It's about being honest enough to know which situation you're actually in, because the response is different for each one, whether your intentions were pure or whether you contributed to that situation and you're ready to change. So that's step one.
This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. The agents wrote the copy and managed the timelines, while our human creative director made sure it all made sense. Easy. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
I remember the first time we started allowance with my daughter, I told her, yes, of course you can buy that. How much do you have in your allowance? And that question changed everything, because suddenly she was doing the math, not me. We went to a musical and she walked up to the merch stand, looked at a t-shirt and went, $40? That's so much money. That sentence never came out of her mouth before she had her own money to think about. That's exactly what Cash App's managed accounts for kids 6 to 12 are built for. Whether it's $5 from allowance or $40 birthday money from grandma, it all counts and it all stays with them as they grow up. No subscription fees, no minimum balance, just real practice making real decisions while you're still the one guiding it from your own app. If you're ready to start teaching money habits without adding more stress to your plate, download Cash App and set up a managed account for your child today. For a limited time, new Cash App customers who are parents can use our exclusive referral code FAMILY10 to earn $10. Download Cash App, enter the referral code in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you will receive $10. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Cash App Visa Debit Flex cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, and the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to a license from Visa USA Inc. See terms and conditions for the Sutton prepaid card, Sutton Debit Flex card, and Bancorp Debit Flex card. Savings and offers provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Parents and legal guardians can open a managed account for kids 6 to 12. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. You know what I wish existed when my kids were little? Great Wolf Lodge. An indoor water park inside your hotel where it's always 84 degrees, especially living in Phoenix where the sidewalks burn your toes. That would have been amazing. At Great Wolf Lodge, the whole family gets to splash around in a massive indoor water park with a wave pool, a lazy river, and water slides that you can all ride together. But here's what's really cool about it. They also have Magi Quest, which is a live action adventure game kids play throughout the entire lodge. It's like the magic never stops and your kids are always occupied. Between the Northern Lights Arcade, the great dining options, and the complimentary dance parties nightly, there's genuinely something for everyone all under one roof. No packing up and driving somewhere every hour. No, I'm bored. Just connection, fun, and honestly, a little magic for you too. With 22 lodges across the country, there's probably one close to you. Check it out at greatwolf.com and bring your pack together. Step 2, here is the thing that I think is really going to change it for you. Let's get a little bit into why this person might be accusing you. Because when someone says that you've made them feel disrespected or inferior and you have genuinely checked your intentions and they were good, what they're describing, and I want you to hear this, what they're describing is not a fact about you. It is not. It's a report on their own self-evaluation. It's themselves. Okay, we're gonna get into this because here's the psychology, and I really want you to sit with me on this one because it changes everything about how you carry this load of being rejected. You carry this load of thinking that someone is mad at you. There is this concept called self-evaluation maintenance. I know it sounds like a technical term, but stay with me. It comes from a researcher named Abraham Tesser, and his research found that when someone close to you does well at something that matters to your own identity, it can actually feel threatening. not because that person did anything wrong, but because their success and their confidence and their competence makes you question your own. Have you ever had a situation like this with another person where maybe a friend was succeeding in something? I did when I was going for my national board certification. My friend passed first time, and seeing her pass and seeing her get a high score, that being a good teacher was really important to my identity. And when she passed this national board teacher certification and I did not achieve, is what they call it, I questioned everything about my skills. I questioned whether I really was as good a teacher as I thought I was. And I was a little angry. It wasn't directed at her at all. It was angry at the situation and feeling less than one of my closest friends. And here's what the part that really matters the most for you. The closer the relationship is, the bigger the threat. We are more threatened by the people closest to us than we are strangers. This is why you can look at somebody killing it in the outside world who has really no relationship with you, and you could wish them well, or you could be like, yeah, good for them. And you can have a close friend achieve something and your heart sinks. And then you feel horrible that your heart sinks because aren't you supposed to boost everyone up? But your heart sinks because they're achieving in something that is so important to your identity. And it is not anything really about them. It is about you and the fact that you are not at the same level they are. Does that make sense? Because I could say, like, I've done this. I've done this a lot in the past. Here's another interesting study. Friends actually gave each other harder clues on task than they gave to strangers when the task was framed as measuring something important to them. When it was just a game, they helped each other. But the second that it touched on their identity and who they were as a person, the closeness they had with their friend made it worse. It didn't make it better. So when your child or your sister or someone you work closely with tells you that you're disrespecting them or you're making them feel small, that feeling is real to them. They feel that in their bones. And I'm not telling you it's fake, and I'm not telling you they shouldn't feel that way. I'm telling you where it's coming from. It is coming from their own identity feeling threatened by you. It is not necessarily from something you actually did. How does that land with you? Because when I read this, I'm like, oh my gosh, some circumstances in my life have made so much more sense. Knowing that this person's accusation is actually their own self-evaluation and not a verdict on your behavior. That distinction is what lets you stay calm instead of spiraling into over apology or maybe spiraling into anger. So I want you to keep that in mind. Maybe it's your kid who accuses you of disrespecting you. Maybe it's a friend. Whoever it is, just know it's not you. Now, I also want you to know that it is incredibly common for this to happen. Incredibly common. This is not a character flaw in you, nor is it really a character flaw in the person who's accusing you. It is a documented human response. And there's actually real research on how common this is, especially for women. Have you ever heard of the Tallest Poppy survey? This is new to me too. And I was amazed because this is a 2023 survey, and it surveyed over 4,700 women across 103 countries. So this one was pretty extensive. The term tall poppy syndrome comes from it. And tall poppy syndrome occurs when people are attacked, resented, disliked, criticized, or cut down because of their achievements and or success. If you have ever been extremely competent at something and you feel like other people around you, instead of raising you up, they try to push you down, you're not imagining it. In this study, almost 87% of women said someone had undermined their achievements at work, and more than 3/4 said that their achievements had been downplayed. Now, here's a stat that surprised even the researchers. It's often assumed that women are the ones who do the cutting down, but the data showed that men in leadership were actually more likely to penalize women than their peers. Now, women were more likely to cut down their peers for it, but there was no penalty involved as per se, like work assignments or pay. So why does this matter for you? Because it tells you this isn't random, and it isn't about something being wrong with you or even the person accusing you. It's a documented pattern in how people respond to competence and confidence, especially when it comes from someone close to them. Okay, now I have a little bit more bad news for you. A little bit more. There is a backlash effect against women. Like you know this, being a woman, you've probably experienced it. Like it's shown that confident or direct behavior from women can be read as aggressive by many people, while the same confident and direct behavior from men is read as assertive and confident. The classic study with this, researchers took a real Harvard case study about a venture capitalist named Heidi Rosen. And for half of the students, they simply changed the name to Howard. Everything else stayed the same. This was a real individual. Only the gender and sex were changed. Both were rated equally competent, but Howard came across as someone people wanted to work with, and Heidi was seen as selfish and someone that they should avoid hiring. Like, let that land. We as women are pushing a boulder up a hill. And I don't want to tell you that to make you feel defeated. I just want to tell you that is the perception that is common in our society. Same behavior, same words, different reaction based entirely on who was saying it and what that triggered in the person reading it. And that's what I mean when I say, like, it's not always about what you did. Sometimes it's about what your confidence or your directness represents to the person on the other side. Now, this isn't always the case. Some people are aware of these biases and they actively try to fight against it. And some people you can have a really open conversation with about these biases. But others may not even realize their bias. And you can take this as a source of power for you. I don't want you to think that you're defeated immediately out of the gate. I want you to take this knowledge as power, because it then becomes your choice on how you want to act around certain people, who you want to let get close to in your life, and who you want to kind of keep at a work distance, if you know what I mean. And you put your mask on around them just so we could all work together well and you don't lose your job. It sucks that is the kind of advice that we have to give to each other women in the world. However, until something changes, that is the reality that we live with. Now, what about family? What about family? I am sure that you have had a family member say something to you and it just stung so much worse than something that was said to you at work. Like, if you're a mom, you've probably already lived this from your kids. You've been criticized for something, especially if you're a mom of a teenager. Yes, I see you. There's a national poll that found that 61% of moms with kids under 6 had been criticized about their parenting. And here's the part that matches everything we just talked about. That criticism, it wasn't coming from strangers. It wasn't coming from social media. It was coming from their own parent or a spouse or the child's other parent or from in-laws. Like, the people closest to them were doing the criticism. That is self-evaluation maintenance playing out in real time. When you parent differently than your mom did, or your mother-in-law did, or your husband's parents did, it can feel to them like a quiet statement about how their way was wrong. Let that land. It's not about you. It's them saying how they were wrong. And that's threatening to their identity as a parent, even if you never said a word about their choices. So the criticism comes out from them, and it can feel a lot like being told you're disrespecting them. And they may have actually used those words. So from here on out, I want you to know that this is not about them. One of my clients, Amanda, I'm going to link to her a story about her and her in-laws in the show notes because I think it's really, really great when she tells it. But she was getting criticized a lot by her in-laws. And through her work at Inner Circle, she was able to lay down some boundaries and decide how she was going to react to the criticism rather than let the criticism and her own emotions control her. It is a really, really great thing to look at if you right now are having problems with your in-laws too. And that is in the show notes right below this episode. Okay, so we have these 2 steps. Look at your own intentions and then know the reasons why this person might be doing this. Because here's the thing. Here's what happens if you don't reframe it. Because if you internalize this accusation to mean that something is wrong with you instead of understanding it, it causes damage. When women don't have this reframe, what they do is they start shrinking to avoid the accusation altogether. There's a study called Acting Wife that found single women in MBA programs reported wanting $18,000 less in salary and less willingness to travel or work longer hours when they thought their classmates would see the answers. Privately, way more of them rated themselves highly on ambition and leadership, but publicly, almost none of them did. And why is that? Because they internalize this accusation of wanting a career and being more ambitious and wanting to travel away from their family was somehow a bad thing because they were a woman. This starts really young. Researchers found the same pattern. Women describing their own ability less favorable than men who performed exactly the same, starting as early as, okay, get this, 6th grade. 6th grade. It held up even when they removed any confidence gap between the 2 groups. And this tells you something so important. There isn't a confidence problem that we can fix with a pep talk. There isn't. It's a learned response to exactly the dynamic we've been talking about. If we're accused, we of course want to keep that connection going, and we shrink ourselves in return to avoid the accusation. There's even a name for a more serious version of this. It's called self-silencing, and research links it to depression, especially in relationships that are marked by conflict or a power imbalance. That is the cost of not understanding what we just covered. If you don't know the accusation is often about their identity and not your behavior, you start editing yourself down to avoid triggering it. And that's a much bigger problem than an uncomfortable conversation, which, by the way, that leads into step 3. Decide how you want to respond.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
I scream. You scream. Todos gritamos. Porque el famoso Small Classic Frosty de Wendy's está a solo $1 por tiempo limitado. Más gritos. Happy screaming. Summer screaming. Gritando porque el Frosty está a $1. Pero por favor, don't scream en el drive-thru. Le van a doler los oídos a los employees. Get a $1 Small Classic Frosty por tiempo limitado. Solo en Wendy's. El precio y la participación pueden variar en los Estados Unidos. Solo la carta. No es válido para delivery. Límite de 10 por transacción. El precio puede ser mayor en Alaska y Hawaii.
This is the step that a lot of people skip because it's uncomfortable. It's not going to feel wonderful because you're not used to doing it. But since you've gone through step 1 and you've gone through step 2, you now have permission to actually choose a response instead of letting your emotions control you and make you respond in a way that you do not want to show up as. Once you've done the gut check and you understand what's actually happening underneath the accusation, let's decide what you're going to do about it. A lot of the time, I decide to say something simple and honest about it. Something like, I hear that this felt disrespectful to you, and I want you to know that was never my intention. My intention was, and then I say exactly what my intention was with it. I want to communicate my intentions clearly, and I hope the other person takes that in the spirit it's given. There's something that my improv teacher, Eric, he tells us all during class. That is the responsibility of the communicator to communicate clearly. So it is your responsibility to go and communicate your intentions clearly. This is versus thinking that, oh, how dare they think that of me? How dare they? When you haven't even told them what you thought in the first place. So let's just put that out there. That's a little bit of tough love right there about communicating your intentions. Now, what happens though when you say that intention? Like sometimes somebody does accept it. Maybe they apologize themselves for having the reaction. And sometimes they don't. And they will dig in and double down on your disrespectfulness. And they will say, nope, it doesn't make sense. I don't believe you. And that's when you have to ask yourself a different question. Is this worth continuing to discuss? Is this a small enough thing that you can let it go and just think, okay, that's how they feel strongly about this, and that's okay. For example, what politics used to be at family dinners. Now, I don't think, let's go on a little bit of tangent here. Politics aren't that way anymore. They're more of a moral thing these days. And so that is pretty important. But is what it used to be. Family dinners. When like George W. Bush was president back in that era. Or is this something that is going to affect your whole world, your work environment, your relationship, your peace over and over and over again? If it is the former, that it's like something really little, like one of you likes cats and the other likes dogs, you can usually let it go. You could be like, okay, that's just how they are. I'm not going to broach this topic with them. That's completely fine. We don't need to discuss that. But if it keeps happening again and again with different things and no self-acknowledgement on the part of the other person, that's really a different story. And that's the point where a bigger conversation or a bigger boundary is actually needed. I've had situations in my life where I have had to take some space, a lot of space, actually, because I wasn't being heard about the truthfulness of my intentions. And when you are put under that over and over again, and that other person doesn't believe you, it's hurtful, it's damaging, and it gets to the point where you just can't accept it anymore. It makes you so angry that you need a little bit of space. So I want to tell you that it's okay to take that space. I'm not one to tell you to throw people out of your life forever, but taking space isn't a bad thing, especially if it protects your sanity and protects your well-being. So I also want to say this really, really carefully because I don't want you to hear it as an excuse to stop caring how your words land. Remember, communication, the responsibility is on behalf of the communicator. Other people's reactions do belong to them, not to you. You can only control your own reaction, your own tone, and your own intention. So if you've tried and you've explained your intentions honestly more than once and it's still not landing, there is a point where you get to say, I can't keep having this exact conversation. I need a little bit of space. And that is okay. So think to yourself, is there a relationship in your life where this dynamic keeps showing up? And now, hearing this episode, what do you want your next step to be? What do you want to do about it? If you want to DM me your next step and just tell me a little bit how this landed, gosh, I really love hearing from you. And I don't want that to sound like begging. It's kind of begging because JoAnn just needs personal human communication. Sometimes in the podcast, I'm like talking out into the void and I have no idea how this lands. So just tell me if you have an aha from this episode, if this has showed you, maybe made another conversation make more sense for you. Let me know. Go and DM me at NoGuiltMom at Instagram. I would really appreciate it. And of course, I respond back to everybody. So here's what I want you to walk away with. Next time someone tells you that you're disrespecting them or you're making them feel small, run it through these 3 steps. 1, check your own intention honestly and see, okay, is there a way I've contributed to this that I want to change in my own behavior? 2, remember that if your intentions were good, what you're hearing is often a report on their own identity and their own self-evaluation. And then 3, decide what you actually want to do about it. Communicate your intentions if you want to. Let it go if it's small. But if it keeps happening over and over again, you're allowed to ask for some space. You are allowed to hold your own peace while still caring about someone else's feelings. This applies to coworkers. This applies to friends. This applies to your kids. This applies to your husband. Those 2 things, holding space and caring about someone else, they can both exist at the same time. So, hey, if you're listening on Spotify, hit that follow button right now. It's the best way to make sure you never miss an episode, and it helps me reach more moms like you. And remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and I'll talk with you later.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.